Hi everyone. Today we're looking at Indian furniture from a different lens. Sustainability, global competition, technology, and what the future demands from us. With us today, we have a person who knows the sourcing ecosystem from the inside and out. Ms.Anchal Kansal's name resonates among the globally recognized businesswomen of India. She started her journey with grit, passion, and a relentless drive to succeed. Ms. Kansal was born and brought up in Kanpur in a business family, where she learned the nuances of business very early on. In 2009, she took over Indsource International, a leading buying agency, and in over a decade, she transformed it into a globally recognized sourcing agency operating across India, China, Vietnam, and Bangladesh. Ms. Anchal is known for her process-driven leadership style, her commitment to her work, and quite honestly, her incredibly high energy. Thank you so much for being here with us today, ma'am. To begin with, ma'am, I would like to ask you, in your opinion, where does India stand today as compared to China and Vietnam?
So, Rishika, that's a very interesting question. I would say there are various facets when we compare India to any other country like China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, or other Southeast Asian regions.
Right.
When I look at the pricing side of things, I think we are trying to become competitive, but there are certain price points which we are never able to meet. And especially when we're talking about cheaper particle board products or any mass market production, India is still not able to reach there because we don't have an in-house production of particle boards. Everything gets imported. So that directly impacts us on the cost by about 27%.
Right.
And that cost itself defeats the purpose of, manufacturing cheap furniture in India. Intrinsically, India is known for its solid woods, mango, shisham, acacia. So all these woods are obviously pricey. So when it comes to price point, I would say that we've become better. But there is a journey that is yet to be considered and taken forward with.
Right.
Now, when I look at the other aspects, especially design, I would say India is just the master of bespoke furniture. Clearly, there is no other country that does it better than India. There are a lot of factors that go into it. Culturally, we have a heritage of craft. That really renders well when we are crafting pieces which have workmanship, which have elements of different materials that come out so beautifully well when we are crafting furniture.
Right.
So that workmanship, the sustainable materials, and just the sheer, the design aesthetic and the senses of the people in India, that itself makes us as a leader of bespoke furniture in India.
Right.
Now, when we talk about tech, that's the third angle I would like to explore it on.
Right.
Tech is something that India is still not mastered very well, and that is something that we really need to work on. The technology is there, everything is there, but when it comes to Indian people actually imbibing that into the furniture in India, we have not really made a very big leap there. So the world has moved far forward, and we still need to really catch up with the tech that exists in India today. So I would say overall, we have progressed a lot from where we are, but the journey is still there that we need to compare and become comparable with the other countries of Southeast Asia.
That was really interesting to know about. I'm sure our audiences agree with me. So, ma'am, my second question to you is, why do buyers still choose India despite longer lead times?
Well, actually, that's something that's of very significant interest to everybody that's working in the industry today. There are a lot of factors other than the lead times that really come into play. One of the biggest factors that really attracts the customers to India is the low MOQs. So unlike the other parts of the world and Southeast Asia, Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, India is really flexible with its MOQs. So when it comes to big furniture, we are not rigid in saying that we only want 200, 500, 1,000 pieces, and we can customize. That's the other very, very important factor. When customization comes into play, it's much easier. We're not always working with molds. The handcraft element allows us to customize products easily, and that's one of the reasons why buyers find it very easy to work with India, because they don't have to pay for every mold when they're working with India or curating any piece of furniture or any other thing. So it's easy for them to play with different styles, a variety of product, and it helps them to buy easily from India.
Nice.
Again, the two most important factors that I would say really that renders itself a lot of importance in India is firstly the handcrafted product.
Right.
So when we talk about handcraft itself, it makes it high value in terms of the perceived value that the customers see in market.
Right.
So that perceived value when it goes to a handcrafted product itself makes the customers want such products out of India. And again, sustainable materials.
Right.
Another very important factor, India is actually the hub of sustainable materials where, people can work with wood, they can work with marble, they can work with metal. And there's so many different materials that we're working with. They're all sustainable. And sustainability is a buzzword today. So all of these put together, despite all the odds that we face in India, still make India a very important sourcing destination for the customers who are really serious about buying furniture out of this country.
That actually makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense, ma'am. So,
Yeah.
ma'am, related to this only, something from our furniture exporters as
Yeah.
well. What do you think that the industry really needs to work on?
Okay, so one of the things that strikes my mind is the first, thing that we as an industry, exporters from this industry need to do is scale. India still lacks scale. There are only a handful of factories really that are working on the kind of scale that customers, the larger customers in the world really are looking for. So when we talk about smaller amount production, everybody in India can do it. But when we go to larger scales, when we start talking in thousands and hundreds of thousands, there are only a handful of factories who are able to do it. So that kind of puts us at a disadvantage. So scale is one of the most critical factors today that we as an industry really need to work. And for scale comes the hunger for business. So that entire attitude कि मुझे business को बड़ा करना है, I need to make it big, I need to make it successful. And it's not just about being satiated with what we have. It's about moving forward and doing things to make yourself big, to give to India that little extra. And people who have done that already, they are the success names of the country. So there are very few people who are really thinking that way. So we need more of such people who can think positively, who have that drive and that zeal to drop the scale. And obviously, we also need government's intervention in bringing up that scale. Government's intervention has always played a big role when we talk about scale. China could make such scales because their government is exceptionally helpful. They go out and help the manufacturers in all possible ways. And that's something that we really need with Indian industry today. Apart from scale, there are a couple of other things also that I would say that we need to work on to make Indian furniture more successful. And one is precision engineering. That's one thing that I think every customer, every buying agent, they kind of struggle with in India. We are a handcrafted country and that's what we like to call ourselves. But customers are looking for uniformity of furniture. And uniformity of furniture cannot come with just handcrafted products. So we need to get the tech involved. We need CNC routing, we need more jigs, more tools, where we're able to actually manufacture furniture that is precise. Now, precise not only in terms of the structures and the sizes, but also precise in terms of its finishes. That really lacks in India. You go anywhere, any part of the world, you go any trade show, you can visibly see an Indian furniture versus any other Southeast Asian furniture, which is Vietnam or China. Why? Because of precision. When you see a Chinese or a Vietnamese piece, there is precision to it. And you won't find the flaws that you would generally find in a non-precise furniture. So it becomes very imperative for us if we want to compete in the global market. Then that's one thing that is absolutely non-negotiable. And there is a long mile for us to cover on that particular aspect. That precision really needs to be there. If I were to talk about products, then seating is something that's India's weakness today, Ergonomically, we have not been able to master the art of seating, whereby we're able to actually get seating products to the kind of precision and comfort that the world needs. So that's something that's still in the back step. And we need to work towards it. Everybody wants to buy seating from India because we have so many materials, so many varieties of, styles and things that we can do. But just the ergonomics don't work out for us. The structures are not KD. So those are things that are still challenging and needs to be addressed by our vendors to make Indian furniture something that is going to be very exciting for them.
That was really nice, ma'am. So, ma'am, in your opinion, what are some of the materials that are vogue in the industry nowadays?
So when it comes to material, India is really doing exceptionally well. I mean, our woods do great. We have mango wood, which is like the talk of the town for the world. We do acacia shisham, we do glass, we do metal, we do MOP, horn. We do so many materials. But there are certain materials that still we could venture into, which we've started dabbling. I wouldn't say we aren't really doing that, but we are not doing it the way the world expects it. So let's talk about veneers. Veneers is something that very few factories have been able to adapt to the kind of precision that requires.
Right.
So people are moving towards paper veneers, but अभी हमारी strength wood veneers में भी उतनी strong नहीं है जितनी China and Vietnam कर रहा है. So that's something that we can get into. Then the other thing that generally strikes me is material-wise, we are not very good with outdoor materials.
Right.
You know, Philippines, China, Vietnam, they're doing exceptionally well when it comes to outdoor materials. Water hyacinth, seagrass, teak, and all of these interesting, PU materials that render themselves very useful for the outdoors. We're still not 100% there when it comes to these materials. So I would say these are materials that we need to work on, maybe do more R&D on, how to bring their cost down, because generally our cost on these materials tend to be high. We're importing all these materials. So we need local production sources and better R&D to be able to capture this segment of the market that still is kind of elusive to us.
I agree, ma'am. All right, ma'am. So, according to you, what tech advancements could transform furniture manufacturing in India?
That's a very interesting question. Again, just because there's so much happening on the tech side, we had this AI summit, all deep tech and all of those things. And I think furniture industry has done a lot of tech to bring in functionality into furniture, into those pieces that people want at home. Few things that we're not yet doing in India, and I think there's a little bit of a far way when we do it, but what is very interesting is what I can share with you. One is the invisible enablers. You see all those charging pads under the tables. You don't see them, they're invisible, but you keep your phone and they charge. How exciting is that?
Right.
Things like that, actually, when they come into a piece of furniture, they make it so useful. Music docking system inside your furniture. Again, it eliminates the need of excess gadgets. And it reduces the need for space because something else is kind of becoming useful to you and it's serving the same purpose. Again, when you talk about tech advancements, we can also talk about smart lighting systems. You have bedside tables which has these scope lighting systems. So you don't need now a separate nightstand light or things like that. Then when we talk about deep tech, we've also seen China's working on these beds which have smart sensors which can track your sleep cycles. Abhi phones kar rahe hain, watches kar rahe hain. How exciting would it be when beds can track your sleep cycle, if you're sleeping well, not sleeping well, what's happening. When we talk about AI, and that could actually be very, very useful for the industry,
Right.
is that if we start using AI to kind of reduce the wastage that the industry goes. Then when we spoke about initially the particle board prices, which kind of impact 27% of the cost because we are bringing it in from China,
Right.
then we could actually reduce the wastage to a significant extent, which contributes towards reduction of this extreme charge that we pay while we import products. So those are tech advancements that I really feel if they come to India, it would really revolutionize the industry because China is doing it and they are there. India just needs to start doing it. Now the question is whether we can do it locally, internally, or whether we want to keep importing, because the moment we keep importing, the cost does not justify at all. So yeah, I'd be very excited to see vendors who can actually bring in these kind of tech advancements into the product.
So ma'am, in your opinion, what are the product innovations that India needs to work on nowadays?
Okay, so we just spoke about tech advancements.
Yeah.
I would love to see that in the furniture.
Right.
That itself renders a lot to the furniture and the pieces that we make.
Right.
However, there are a few things on the basic side also that we need to do so that our furniture becomes more precious to people who are buying it and more useful for the people who are using it. One of the things that really comes to my mind is, click assembly or smart connectors, things like those. India is always known for its solid wood furniture. We can't compete with the giants in the industry who are working on click assemblies and RTA, flat packs and this and that. We're still not there to be able to compete with them.
Right.
Now, 3Spine has come up with a technology where everything assembles at the click. So there is no such hardware that you have to insert or screw. It's click and fold, and everything, your furniture stands up without any extra hardware to be put into the furniture.
That's nice.
So those are the kind of things that we really want to see, and especially invisible joints, invisible assembly systems. Just the sheer fact that you see a nail somewhere and that you have to screw it in, it requires more effort, it requires more pricing, it requires more time. And if you're able to advance to that level of RTA flat packs, it reduces cost in terms of packaging, in terms of freight cost and everything. It's just a win-win for everybody. So that is something that we really need to work on. And the second thing is bringing functionality. The last time I was speaking to all my customers at the High Point show, which is like the biggest furniture market in the US, everybody was talking about functionality. So when we talk about docking systems, charging systems, light, fire pits, and things like that, those are things that we need to inculcate in our products. Every product needs to have a functionality of its own. The functionality could be as simple as just having storage. But we need to move more towards functionality than just a piece of decorative furniture.
Right.
So that is something that I would say in terms of product, we really need to innovate and think through to bring it at a higher standard of global acceptance.
Very well said, ma'am. Lastly, I would like to ask you, what in your opinion does India need to fix to dominate, let's say in the next 5 years?
Okay, and this is something I've been talking about for a very, very long time to all my suppliers and randomly with people around. Few things. Number one, government support. Very critical for us. Not because people need money, but they need motivation. We've seen government take away policies from the exporters that kind of hits us backward.
Right.
When the industry is trying to leap ahead, you cannot hit the vendors by taking away ROTF. You need to give them some motivation. You need to give them technology, easy access to technology. Because there is a resistance that I see whereby they say that if tech comes in, the need for people will reduce. But that's not the case. When tech comes, the scale increases. The need for people does not reduce. अगर आज आपकी फैक्ट्री में 100 लोग काम कर रहे हैं, कल उन्हीं 100 लोगों से आप टेक के साथ अपनी capacity 2 times or 3 times increase कर सकते हो. And once the capacity increases, you will employ more people, not less people.
Right.
So that entire resistance that is coming from all corners that we should not do tech, we should not eliminate, people. That's somewhere a kind of a reverse thinking. We are not really thinking future forward. China has the biggest population in the world. Do the people starve and die? No. Because the scale is so large that they absorb everybody. We can't absorb everybody because the scale is small. So when tech comes in, the scale increases, more people will be employed, not less.
Right.
So that's the first thing that we would need help from the government, the impetus to bring in technology. Don't take away what the vendors need as motivation. Give easy access to tech and support them in bringing this industry up. Because at the end of the day, employment generates from this industry. From the vendor side, we need that hunger, that drive that we just spoke about, that attitude to grow. Next generations come into the business with a lot of motivation, with a lot of dreams, but they struggle because they put right at the top, right at the beginning. They don't learn. And that's something that our generation, the senior generation, needs to understand that we need to work on. We cannot just put people at the top and expect them to understand everything. They need to start at the grassroots level. So that is really needed for the industry, and because India is a generational business, it does not die with one generation. You've seen all businesses, there'll be 3 generations, 2 generations, 5 generations old. So generations, when they take over, they can only contribute positively when there is a drive, when there is a learning, and there is a growth path. You put somebody right at the top, it falls apart.
Right.
Start from the bottom up. Let them have that drive to know it all, and then have the hunger to become more successful from the next door neighbor. So the right attitude, the right mindset to grow this industry is needed across all borders. And we need a lot of marketing for India. We still need a lot of marketing from India. The brand of India is recognized as a brand that's something people still look at with wary eyes. And when I say people, we're talking about customers. They don't trust India fully because they've had experiences which have not been so nice. So to change that, we need a lot more involvement of parties that are responsible, parties that really want to see things growing in a beautiful manner. So, tech, AI, right attitudes, government support, that's what I would say is really needed for us to progress in terms of an industry today.
That was really nice, ma'am. Ma'am, this has been a very fruitful conversation for us. I think all of us has learned a lot. So thank you so much for being here with me today, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rishika. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was nice meeting you. Thank you.